during these early years in the 1990s, you announced that the solidarity, the union has to grow and become a movement, a labor movement, but eventually a movement bigger than that, which at the time was almost pie in the sky because the solidarity was still very small, and many of the Afrikaner institutions historically have been discredited. But back then already you said, no, we need to build a movement. What did you mean by that, and why did you think it's necessary? Because that was still at the time of the euphoria about the new South Africa, and I hope that South Africa would become what was promised during the 1990s.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand a little bit more about South Africa. South Africa is geographically and demographically a very, very diverse country. If you look at the number of languages, we had 11 official languages in South Africa, then that says something about the diversity. Secondly, we are basically as large as, nearly as large as Western Europe. So South Africa is a very complex country. It's much more subcontinent than a country. Much more, if you look at West Africa or East Africa or Western Europe, it is not only one country, it is more a subcontinent. And for us, our view was that it's basically impossible to govern it as a central state, as many smaller countries in the world. If you look at the distance between South Africa, between the northern and the southern, the southern part of South Africa, it is 2,000 kilometers. It's the same distance that you get from London to Rome. But the one go through one country, the other one through about 6 or 8 countries. So, secondly, if you look at the history when Marxist liberation movements have took over, many African states post-independently, and also, of course, in other parts of the world, it was unfortunately a failure. So it was very clear to us that the ANC have made concessions in order to gain the power, and once they have really consolidated their power, they will fall back on their original policies. And that was actually what happened. Let me give you one example. Many people think that South Africa is a non-racial country because the Constitution, Article 1, talks about the whole bottom line of the country is non-racialism. But the ANC have enacted more than 116 race laws since 1994. And so we are again the most, very tightly regulated with regard to race. So the racial dispensation wasn't dismantled; it was put on a new management and reversed. And so we foresaw that in 1997, because we have read the ANC documents, they make it clear what they are going to do. And so we plan for, if I can quote Churchill here, not for the next election, but for the next generation. So we plan for a longer time frames, and so we have said that we can't wait until people discover who the ANC really are, that they will not be able to govern a modern country. They have never, governed anywhere. And what we also have experienced in Africa, that the requirements of a liberation movement for a successful struggle differ fundamentally from the requirements to govern a modern state. South Africa is basically the only industrialized country in Africa, and it was clear to us, if you look at the ANC's policies, that they will not be able to govern the country. If you look at Botswana, they are a conservative, moderate government. It is safe. It is a successful country. Even Zambia and other countries, but the ANC is much more different than that. So we feel that we had to plan to form and to develop the self-help movement because the state will not help us in any way. And we will be a very discredited and a very, a minority that will have to look after itself.